So Violeta, here's the word to you first.
Sonja, thank you very much. Thank you for putting this meeting, this Zoom session together. I think it's going to be more and more important that we really dive into the core of how we want to see our future civilization to emerge, and really to discuss how we can do cross-civilizational integration of wisdom and knowledge, because as we could learn in our schools, every civilization so far destroyed pretty much everything that the previous one created. And now we are hungry for wisdoms that we can sense in all civilizations, and we see that some fractions of it have survived through unofficial channels. What is really the eco-civilization all about? It's an idea, a collective dream about possible new destination. We see that our, especially Western civilization, is seriously challenged by decadency and lack of inspiration after the imperialistic period. And we do have to find new routes in order to reinvent and transform ourselves and continue to exist. Otherwise, we can learn from the last 50,000 years that many glorious civilizations that were dominating on this planet for centuries, they disappeared from this planet so easily in a couple of decades, because they lost the inspiration and this internal strength to reinvent itself due to either climate change or some series of unfavorable weather conditions, due to pandemic, or just simply due to some bad leadership. When this model of eco-civilization started to emerge, the inspiration came from really life itself. How would life-affirming civilization look like? And what are the elements that life-affirming civilization should have and address and nurture and develop and pay attention to? It got very quickly clear that what we have today is that we're giving up our powers and attention and knowledge to structures to basically maintain either technologies or concepts who became a goal instead of a tool itself. For example, stock exchange, financial models, economical models, educational models. We are here to define, to protect them, to secure them without questioning if these are really serving people. So out of that necessity, this model of eco-civilization of 5 key entities that drive sort of a life that possibly we could imagine and live in the future. And those elements are beings, societies, communities, place, physical place, consciousness, and relationship, which dynamically are supporting the development of these 4 core entities, meaning that education, economy is in the function of sustainable development of beings, of societies, of physical spaces, and consciousness being wisdom or knowledge. So out of that, of course, I knew Sonja before this model emerged, and I already was following her brave intention to awaken some ancient wisdoms and bring them forward to inspire the modern leadership. So when I went deeper into these basic 5 entities for beings, it was logical, sort of, I wasn't really thinking too much. I immediately asked Sonja, could we use your model to address the beings as a holistic concept further? And that's how her concept of AEIOU, which presents 5 different ancient wisdoms, which I'm sure, Sonja, you will talk about that later, so I'm not going to go too deep into it. It was really, and she said yes, luckily, and this really gives us a chance to look at human beings, animals, plants, trees, from a completely different perspective, and suddenly all other parts of the nature get personalized, which we see in some countries. They're already doing this in law, where rivers became personalized, when trees became personalized. And this is offering some really challenging, but sort of, at least I feel it as an enlightening approach to how we should treat each other in this ecosystem on planet Earth, in order to ensure sustainability, in order to ensure that we all thrive, because you cannot take one system, subsystem out of that ecosystem and say, okay, this one will prosper and the rest we can forget, because everything on this planet Earth, if we admit it or not, is completely intertwined. And we can depend on each other so strongly. And if nothing else, this COVID crisis just proves us that. And we see how important even the physical space later on is. But if we stick only with beings, you know, what would we be without animals and plants and trees? How would we even survive and live? And look what we are doing to these subsystems. And so whatever is happening and emerging now as part of this holistic understanding and hopefully learnings from the past civilizations, to strengthen our position today and broaden our minds in order to be able to find the proper solutions for our future, I'm ready to welcome and open up my space and support to really evolve further. And today's session is really about that. It's about learning more about ancient wisdoms, strengthening the entity beings, and hopefully through that influence also the holistic development of societies, which will then bring a more holistic attitude and relationship with the space and wisdom itself. So, Sonja, I cannot wait what today's session will deliver. Back to you.
Thank you, Violeta, for this, again, very inspiring introduction. And thank you also my colleagues from Slovenian wings of Ecocivilisation, Manica, Claudia, and Martina. Two of them are missing today, but Slovenian wing decided also to prepare this for the complete eco-civilization movement.
Sonja, would you allow me to also acknowledge two other wings who are present here today, Eleftheria from South Africa and Donna from Canada. So I'm very happy to see them as well.
Great. Oh, great. Why we are talking about indigenous wisdom and why this is important for eco-civilization? I believe that indigenous people are really wisdom keepers from the times that they were much more connected with cosmic cycles than we are now. And we need to remember this wisdom and use this wisdom in our daily activities, practices, and so on. There are around 400 million indigenous people in the world. It means around 6% of global population. And they are protecting 80% of global biodiversity. So this is really deep wisdom and a special kinship with the nature that they are showing with their attitude. What are indigenous people? There's no really special definition. United Nations said that there are people with distinct language, distinct culture, and distinct beliefs. And because many of them are in danger, especially their languages, this decade from 2022 to 2032 is proclaimed as the decade of indigenous languages. So this is also from another point of view, a great start to think, to talk about what can indigenous wisdom bring to us. Indigenous really means originating or occurring naturally in a particular place. And indigenous wisdom says that man belongs to the world, while civilized people usually believe that the world belongs to man. And there are a lot of different wisdom. I will list some of them, and then I will invite you to go to teams of 3 that we will have the time also to know each other better and to open a dialogue about what else can we learn from indigenous people. One thing for sure, kinship with nature, relationships with the earth and cosmic cycles, multi-meaning words that are not translatable almost because they have such multi-dimensional meanings. Form of intelligence embedded also in this spiritual awareness. Friendship, understanding how it is important to take time to create friendships, relationships. Wisdom that it is woven in stories and storytelling as a way how to convey the wisdom and the information. The confidence that whatever you need will come to you. Serving the life itself, and also in the realm of leadership, collective, distributive, and relational leadership is something that is natural to most indigenous people. I will stop here because I really want to invite you in the break rooms for 10 minutes, break rooms of 3 people, so that you will spend first 3 minutes to introduce each other, and then 7 minutes on dialogue. What else can we learn from indigenous people? What else is the wisdom that needs to be remembered again? And I will ask you also to input your insights into the Mentimeter so that we will have instantly the results of our teams. And the link to the Mentimeter is on the chat. Please copy the link because you will need it to input your insights. And now the Zoom will create a special combination for you, 4 rooms, and I will cross the fingers that you will really enjoy in your company, and see you in 10 minutes. Before I just press the button, open all rooms, just a question. Do you understand what are you invited to do now? Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you. See you in in 10 minutes then. Welcome back. How did it go? Marianne, Mike, unmute yourself. Okay.
I'm torn between trying to respond in the Mentimeter, which just engage. I'm not so good at the multitasking, so I've opted for being present with you, and maybe as we're speaking, other people can add some things to the Mentimeter if you're wanting to keep track of that. So you want popcorn style? Just
sorry?
You just want people to share some of the observations?
Honestly, I will rather share it here, because otherwise we will invest a lot of time sharing. But I would like that we all together see what was written, and then at the end we will open again the time for our dialogue. Wow, great. Truth, livings, understanding our living things, other living things, and so on. Well, we will look at it at the end of our session today, if you agree, because I would like to invite you to exploring what is it in the combination of Aroha, ikigai, oikos, ubuntu. What kind of knowledge we have encapsulated there. And these are, again, 5 of, we can see more than 5 indigenous languages, more than 3,000 indigenous languages that are in danger. So I know that we will cover little tiny think of all the wisdom that it is available for us, but I'm sure also that we will see some similarities here. Yes,
I think that the slides are not moving.
Are not moving? Okay, thank you. Let me, do you see this black slide now? Thank you, Martina. If we look at the complete our history, almost 14 billion years or 14 milliard years, as it would happen in a 1 year time scale. Then now in February, also our Milky Way is not here yet, because Milky Way in this time scale will emerge only on the 1st of April. Our solar system will emerge at the end of August. And first life on Earth will emerge somewhere in the autumn. From our point of view now, it was around 307 billion years ago. And Homo sapiens emerged 20 seconds till midnight. It emerged 300,000 years ago. So if we look from this angle, we are all indigenous here. We have all the same roots, because this was the traveling path of Homo sapiens from the south of Africa, joined with Neanderthals in Europe, then traveled to Asia. And at that time, it was an ice age, so that both continents, America and Asia, were connected. And this was then the travel of the first people. And the first calendar known now on the earth is 75,000 years old Adam's calendar in South Africa. It shows us summer solstice, winter solstice, and with the help of this calendar, they have counted years. And in Africa, we can find also the roots of our first concept that we will explore here. The roots of this concept are connected with ubuntu. Ubuntu is a life force that is in all of us, that pervades all living and non-living nature. And ubuntu is combined with other words to denote as Mantu or Bantu human beings. In some nations also Muntu are called trees because they are regarding as beings with a reason. Then Kintu or Bintu to name the things that don't have mind, that are unreasoned beings. And for example, Hantu, to describe the notion of place and time. Ubuntu here is the basic essence that unifies the universe. And this is the essence of life. And Ubuntu is also part of our first word, Ubuntu. Ubuntu, we know very well what Ubuntu is because we were celebrating also the last year as the year of Ubuntu. And we know that it means I am because you are, or I am because we are. And Ubuntu also means that relationships are what create our reality. Quantum physics now starts to understand this, but indigenous wisdom knows it for a very, very long time. And if we are talking about relationships, we can also talk about relationships to cosmic cycles. And this invites us to another part of the world and another origin of another word in the model of AEIOU. This is the invitation to look at the Mayan culture. And if we have started with the Adam's calendar, 75,000 years old, we can now continue with Mayan system of calendars. Of course, this system is not so old, but it originates in the 600, something like this, before Christ. Maya had a special combination of 3 different calendars. One of them was long count calendar, and this calendar, now it is believed that it has somehow predicted the evolution of consciousness in nine different waves. Each of those 9 waves had 6 nights and 7 days. And the nights and days, and with these also waves, were very various in the time because Mayan used a vigesimal numbering system. We use decimal. Our base is 10. 20 was the base for Maya. And each of the waves were 20 times quicker than the wave before. If we put this very schematically, the waves, the first four waves were connected with the biological evolution. And then the next waves were connected with mental evolution. This is for us also important because consciousness as one of the basic pillars of the model of eco-civilization is important, because with raising the consciousness, we can raise also our ability to understand systems and to change the systems. What is important here for our understanding with Maya is that this calendar, long count calendar, shows the complete history from the Big Bang on. And we know that this was not Big Bang nor bang. It was a tiny thing that started to emerge through the universe. And this calendar shows us also how the consciousness evolves. And we are now in the position that we are capable to co-create, to be aligned with others in a shared unity consciousness. This was not possible, for example, 20 or more years ago, according to the interpretation of Mayan calendar. The other two calendars from Maya were Hap, this is a yearly calendar, and Tzolkin, a combination of 13 numbers and 20 special signs. And one of these special signs is Ape. Ape, this is the picture of Ape. Ape means the path that connects all, the path that connects all worlds, the path that connects our ancestors and our successors. So Ape is used here to understand that we are really all interlinked, interdependent, and interconnected. And from understanding why Ape is chosen to be among the 5 dimensions here, I invite you again to the other part of the world to explore Japan. And I guess you never thought that I will connect Maya and Japan with pyramids. But recently, they were discovered pyramids under the sea, very near Okinawa, the island in South Japan. Nobody can confirm yet why or what origins are these pyramids, but they are trying to study them and they are exploring it further. And for us, here it's important that we will focus more on Okinawa itself, because Okinawa is also a place of indigenous people. Although Japan, for now, doesn't give them the indigenous rights yet. On the northern part of Japan, there's another indigenous nation, Anui. They already are confirmed as indigenous people, but Ryukyuan people here in Okinawa, not yet. But we can learn a lot again from them, also regarding the feminine energy, because they have female shamans still very active in the Japan society, and they had also Noro priestesses who were responsible for fires in all houses. And Noro priestesses are not very common anymore in Japan, while Utah female shamans are practicing their activities still. And Okinawa, perhaps you might know, it's the island that it is known for really longevity. A lot of people there are more than 100 years old, and they are brimming with life energy still. And when the scientists discovered what is the reason for this longevity, they discovered that, of course, food, being accompanied with friends is another reason, intergenerational collaboration, celebrations, farming and gardening, and regular physical exercises. This was also put to this common concept of ikigai. The word ikigai itself arose during Heian period, and the word ikigai means it is composed with two parts, with iki, life, and gai, meaning. Life with a meaning, it means. Very similar concepts are also hatara kigai, the value of work, and yarigai gaaru, when you say that something is really worth doing it. Another concept very well known for Okinawa is moai. This is a really circle of friends who support each other in all kinds, with money, with food, with company, and so on. So ikigai, as the third word in this combination, is really an action word. It's a verb, because it is connecting with serving, with creating, with delighting, with nourishing, providing, teaching, healing, connecting, and building. And this is the kanji expression of ikigai. And from this script, I invite you now again to the other part of the world to explore oikos. Oikos, a Greek word that comes from, again, two different words, oiko, which means house, and nomo, which means rules, how we really take care over the house, household, family property. The word itself was introduced with Aristotle and his theory of household management, but already Aristotle warned at that time that we know two kinds of economy. One is natural economy, dedicated to take care for your home, family, for your household. And another is economy dedicated more to creating money because of the money itself. And he warned us that this is crematism. And we also too often forget that both economy and ecology have the same root: taking care for your home and for your family. While the word economy is with us from 16th century already, the word ecology was coined in 19th century. Violeta, as also the ambassador for oikos in the community of AEIOU leaders, explored a lot also about oikos. And besides the disease, how to take care for the house, for ecology, for economy, she found out that oikos means also energy, a place where we can feel the connection. Oikos is also connected with the heart, and where we feel safe, where we feel belong. Violeta, would you like to add something? Because when she presented this, when you presented this, I was really surprised how many things were lost with the translation, and what was the real original spirit of oikos. And again, the proof that we need to remember and go back to the roots, because at the roots, at the beginning of the concepts were dedicated to serve life itself. From oikos, I would like to invite you to a trip again. Martina, have I changed the slide?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. The trip again on our vacas. Vaca is the boat. On this boat, Maori people have reached their Aotearoa, New Zealand, in approximately 1,200 years. And they reached New Zealand from Polynesia. And again, Maori, as Tangata Whenua, which is their expression for indigenous people, are again a great source of learning for us. I will here talk about Aroha. Aroha, again, word with several meanings: love, empathy, compassion, generosity. And Aroha itself is again coined word from Aro. It means thought, life principle. Ro, it means internal, introspection. Ha, life force, breath, energy. And Oha, generosity, progress, abundance, gift. Again, very rich meaning. And because of this meaning, it is also chosen to be in this combination of 5 words from 5 continents. Aroha is similar to aloha because the original is again the same, Polynesia, in similar also with Rarotonga language. Kinship terms are shalom, salam, also namaste. And Aroha Nui denotes largeness, greatness, intensity, importance, also openness. Aroha is also one part of 3 key values. One of them, tika, for correctness and justness. Another, pono, which denotes faith and integrity. And aroha, love. And love is one part of the same coin. Another one is spirituality. So Aroha, leading with love, holding space for creativity and innovations. Ape, ecosystemic thinking, interlinkage and interdependence. Ikigai, as understanding of personal mission as well of organizational mission and involving in a meaningful work. Oikos, creating shared value for all stakeholders, and of course, in a way that business and not just the business will be sustainable. And Ubuntu, creating trust-based relationships of belonging and co-creation. This is something that together compose the 5D leadership code. And this leadership code is meant for each of us because we are all leaders. The time that we can wait for leader Superman that will come and solve all our problems is gone. We are the leaders of our lives. We are the creators of our future. And now we know that we have the capability to co-create. So AEIOU, Aroha, Ape, Ikigai, Oikos, Ubuntu is meant also to support us in this co-creation journey of the new eco-civilization. Because we can learn, we can source from this wisdom and create what is needed for us, and of course what is needed also for our children, grandchildren, and generations to come. And here is what we can learn from indigenous wisdom, from their kinship with nature. This can be our guide through the transition from exploitation to regeneration. If we observe the relationships of indigenous people with the earth, we can see that they are really stewards for the earth, for the land. And we can learn by exercising, experimenting from them. This abundance of multi-meaning words can be the vocabulary for the new future for us, because words are as base camps. If you start using new words, it is like you are climbing to the mountain And with the new words, you set new base camps. And from then, from these base camps on, you continue to climb. To understand that intelligence is not just rational intelligence, but that we can complement this rational and emotional intelligence with spiritual intelligence is again something that we can learn from indigenous people. To take time to develop and nurture friendship, and to use more storytelling to reach the hearts. And I like this especially, the confidence that what you need will come to you. This can help us to make a shift from commodities and consumption to really be equipped with what you really need, not to stock and stockpile and just for instance. Serving the life. Here we can learn how we can complement feminine and masculine energy and collective, distributive and relational leadership supports us in co-creating. And here I will again open the floor for us to share what were the insights from your breakout rooms, and also what emerged now during our session together. What are our takeaways?
I mean,
Donna,
may I invite Donna, because Donna made some really valuable comments in the chat. Donna, please, why don't you just articulate them, because we want to have this recorded by you, because they are really powerful. Please.
Sure. And I think these are things that we all know in our hearts. As I was listening to you, Sonja, beautifully describe so much wisdom that is available to us from across the globe. There is something about the patterns. The words are different. The traditions, the rituals are different, but there's so much patterning that suggests that there's a deeper collective consciousness that's always been there. So sometimes what we hear people talk about when they talk about consciousness and higher consciousness, and us humans need to develop a higher consciousness, that's true, but surely it's been there all along. And some of what this is about is uncovering what already is, as in addition to continuing to grow and learn. So that was one of the things that really struck me as I listened to you describe this very rich cultural expanse that's just part of the history. And then this last thing that struck me as I was listening to you was, we talk about our education system, and of course, education, we're recognizing the need to move to thinking more in terms of learning ecosystems instead of just the formal boxed in education. I mean, boxed in anything is part of the problem in our society, particularly our Western society. And this is more the kind of history that youth will benefit from getting exposure to from a young age, so that they don't have to unlearn so much that us older people have had to unlearn because of just the things that we grew up with, that we consider to be the way it is and the normal, the cultures that box us in. And so part of the challenge really, I think, for all of us is and the first word that I keep coming back to is humility. It's letting go of the need to be all knowing or the presumption that we ever reach some place where, you know, I know. And because we're always learning. And as I listen to you, that's what just very naturally is infused in all of these cultures, is the space to continue to learn, to share, to know, valuing elders, but valuing all of life. So valuing elders not in a way that is what we in the West might attribute to authoritativeness and telling people this is how it is and what to do, but more modeling it just naturally and every day in the storytelling, in the story making, and just a way of being. So our education system is part of it, but not just our education system, but everything that we learn from our homes, from our families, our community, and this stuff that can start to get translated in a whole bunch of different ways, our arts and the way we talk and everything that we do. And I mean, I think I'm speaking to things that I see nodding heads. Any one of us could say these things if the words come to mind, and maybe in some different ways, but it's very affirming. What you share here is very affirming, because I think it resonates with a deep sense that we have inside us of what feels true. And thank you. Thank you.
Great, Donna. Yes, we need completely different learning journey. How we can learn not just from each other, but also from everything around us.
And maybe, Sonja, if you allow me, I mean, in a couple of months' time, we will host Donna, where we're going to actually discuss how can we merge these wisdoms from different networks together and really learn how to do this better. Because she's a real expert in tapping into this ways of interconnectedness and co-creation. So it's great to bring all this wisdom together, and great to really connect the right people that we can learn from each other. And all of a sudden, you know, years of learning can just connect much faster in a much more effective way.
And we can learn with all senses. This is something sometimes we forget.
If I may, maybe to share a thought. Thank you so much, Sonja, for this really precious presentation and thoughts. When I was, let's say, observing the civilizations, they were really successful because they were collaborating, they were doing things together. And if I, let's say, observe nowadays how we are operating, everything is individual based. We are competing among each other. And sometimes it's sick because people are really, some people then think they are endangered, and they are doing really crazy things to compete one way or another, instead of to collaborate and to create a better world for everybody. And by competing, we are just poisoning the whole world. And I think the successful civilizations were just collaborating, and they were successful because of that.
Thank you, Tina. This reminded me on a thought I heard recently, that people, we are the only being in the earth that forget what is our mission. All other beings are aware of this. Thank you.
Maybe collectively we can rediscover it.
Yes.
Each of has a piece of a puzzle.
Yes. Let me share with you what was connected here, what thoughts we have from our breakout rooms. Being a part of a whole system thinking, connectedness, long-term perspective, something that it's very important for us. Slovenians are very indigenous people, and many European countries also. It's time to connect this civilized world with the wisdom of natives. Again, long-term perspective. Okay, great. Do we have any thoughts that needs to be added here?
May I share something?
Of course, welcome.
Yes, I would like to speak about young people, about children a little, because we can hear in last months that a lot of young people and children are having a lot of psychological difficulties in the Western world. And we are warned in a way from many great people about a lot of suicides among them. And they are attributed to the lack of purpose. So I think that we should speak really a lot about purpose, because this Western civilization is really without purpose. And we cannot wait. A lot of young people are literally dying. So I think it's on us that we should really speak more about purpose in the perspective through these concepts. This is what I wanted to say.
Thank you, Martina. Thank you. So true and so important. Yes, the lack of meaning, the lack of purpose is something that we need to address. Thank you. Heiner.
Sonja, I liked your bringing together this practical wisdom cultures, because they're from totally different regions of the world, and they're all are not only so beautiful, but so much like building blocks, building something which leaves us maybe at awe. But what I wanted to say, I was in our group discussing that the Greek I learned with the Orthodox Academy and the Council of Churches have another word. It is called ekudomi, not economy, not ecology, not ecumene. And it was a preacher, Orthodox preacher from South Africa. He wrote many books about this, or not only about this, about many things, how to make it practical, that it is the housekeeping and not just the structure or the counting of the nomos, and to bring this all together in a shared environment. I think here you are on a very interesting track.
Great, thank you. Eleftheria is not with us anymore, but we will ask her to check this, because she's connecting both worlds, Greece and South Africa. Great.
Well, she acknowledged she was in that session.
Ah, she was in that session. Great. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Just a little reflection, Sonja, if I may. I wrote it down, but because what Heiner said is already emerging on a global scale as a so-called genuine index of progress, where they try to include also the household activities in the measurements of the progress of a society, including volunteering work and similar. And Donna might recall this from the article that we both read, where they propose this. And I think it's worth considering, because currently we are narrowing what is the contribution to the society to so few tangible elements, which after all cause a lot of troubles as well. So you might, we might take this into consideration too when we talk about this cross civilizational integration. Which are the elements that they use as a measurement of success, and maybe bring them forward for a new understanding of how to, bring the meaning of life.
Mm-hmm. Great.
Violetta, also just relating this to conversation that we had at the symposium and other conversations about the crisis of belonging. And I think it relates very much to what Martina expressed there, which is, if ever we want to look to a symptom of this lack of purpose and meaning in life, it does go back, and we can point to all kinds of reasons for it, of this huge crisis of belonging, an epidemic of loneliness at a very deep soul level, where, I think people are looking for where that meaning comes from. It used to come for many from religion, or some deep sense of meaning that would come from one's work and vocation. And we're seeing all of our institutions crumbling in many ways, and looking to a future, where there's a lot of fear. And I think fear comes into this as well. And when people feel fear, they, we're not as much with the deeper sense of love for life and one another. Fear kind of takes over. And so, that's a major alarm bell that we can, that we're hearing. And we can be in touch with it in our own selves. It's not just, oh, well, that's going on out there. That's a statistic. We all should worry, and let's go save, let's go save everybody. Let's, I think this is where we often talk about zooming in and zooming out, to be in touch with what's going on inside our own souls. Because often there's knowledge, there's information right there that kind of makes this more real and up close, instead of just seeing it as something out there in the news, a statistic. What's going on with our youth and the suicide rate, or older men. We can find patterns in suicide. All of this pointing to, as people get older, thinking, well, life's lost its meaning for me. I'm not important anymore. Or I don't know how to connect with my world. I don't belong anymore. And we've had this conversation ourselves amongst us, where, we were all able, when we were at that symposium and other conversations that we had, to identify stories of feeling like we didn't belong, when we grew up in our early years, and a sense of sort of being on the outside a little bit. And even in the conversations we're having here in this room, this is not a conversation that we have with anybody, is it? And that's an indicator again of how there's so many places that we can speak to personally where we've not felt a sense of belonging. So important.
I feel this leads us to at least one conclusion and call for action, that in the next dialogue, Ecocivilisation dialogue, we will include more young people also. And the next opportunity will be very soon here, because on 21st of February, Martina will prepare a dialogue about beings. And we all need to really do everything to invite youngest generation, because eco-civilization can be a northern star for them, can be aspiration, can be also inspiration for them, because this lack of meaning is, of course, something that pulls people. But yes, we will create a more room to invite younger generation here. I think this is a commitment. I see nodding.
I wonder if Heiner, you might share something about youth and the efforts that are underway with Earthbeat, which is all about helping youth gain agency over shaping their own futures. This builds right on that, and you've been involved directly in right from the early stages, and it's continuing. Do you have something to share?
Well, the youth is doing it. And there are calls, and we presented it at the Climate Summit in Glasgow last November, that we have video filmmaking competitions with professional filmmakers to widen their sphere, or what do you say, spectrum of cultural expression, so that they go to other means and ends. And that is what I felt in what Sonja said. You see, with the computers now, we have a word and a meaning, but words have so many meanings. So what you added was action, and I would say fields of meaning, and meanings across scales, local, and across sectors, across cultures and times. That is my work. I'm not primarily Earthbeat. Earthbeat is an initiative we started with some producers and filmmakers, professional documentary guys. I'm just the elder or fatherly friend or whatever of one of the founders, but we work, the group who is doing it is called Youth for Planet. We work since many years, and we try to do across cultures, across nations, across languages, because there's so much knowledge in cultural expressions of UNESCO, but also the lost languages or the lost species. So my work is harmonization, and that's a mandate with the UN since 30 years. And I cannot really do more than just add 2 links, or through Violetta or Donna, you can share it in an email. So that would be probably the best. But what did you have in mind, Donna?
Oh, simply just, I mean, first of all, we're really reinforcing how important it is to bring youth into this. They're inheriting the future. They're the ones looking ahead, and many of them feeling such despair over the future. And we all know at a very human, personal level, feeling some sense of agency and feeling like I can make a difference and I need to make a difference. And some of our meaning in life comes from that. So I was just referencing, Heiner, the beginning of a coalition and a coalition of coalitions that began with the effort leading up to COP, but it's growing wings and has connected to a number of other organizations, colleges and universities, peace movement, and the filmmaking is, and other form of arts are such an important expression for this. I mean, to think that youth all around the world can be connected, that a young girl in Ghana can, with her phone, make a film that is actually seen up in the IMAX theater in Glasgow, Scotland during COP. I mean, just one small example, how powerful that is. And for her, she's going to get a chance to see that film and see how it was shared there. So it's like light many, I used to use the expression light many fires, and I stop myself these days because of Earth, because of the climate crisis and the wildfires. But I think you get the purpose of a expression like that. It's going to take many, many, many different things happening all over the world. And then some of these start to converge and build. And I think we all can get some hope from that. So, that's really all I meant, was just to open up the conversation on that and just say that let that be a continuing conversation.
I got an idea. I'm not sure if it's feasible, but Heiner, is there somebody in that group, or Donna, of young people that you can connect us with, and we would invite them? We will host them to present their points of view, and you know, on maybe even on a climate change, on any other topic that is of a great interest to the youth.
We could take that forward, Heiner. I mean, there must be, not sure the timing, the way or whatever, but absolutely, that's a great idea. Like,
Because
why not?
last year we were hosting 4 young people, and it was really fantastic. I mean, from all over the world, from 4 continents. And the discussion, the way how they presented themselves was, you know, it was great. It was really great.
Yeah, I think it's a really excellent example also from the standpoint, Violetta. So often we have these conversations about certain social issues, and the people that are actually on the ground with them are not even part of the conversation.
Yeah.
It's like having a conversation about homelessness with anybody who's ever been homeless in the room talking about it. So if we can be thinking more and more that way, that would be.
I think this is a great conclusion of this meeting, connecting also the youth, as we have connecting all the indigenous people all over the world. Now we need to connect also the youth, and I'm sure we will find a way. Great. Thank you. Violetta is already inviting who can join as co-organizer.
Just to jump in, maybe if we look at Christina's chat information about the fact that she's a teacher and she has a lot of connection with children, maybe if we look into that first.
She already said, I can do this. So Christina, we count on you. Great.
That's great. So Sonja, we have her email address because you registered, right? So you allow us that we get in touch with you, Christina. Super.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would love to. And I taught environmental science for many years, and I have students now that chose to major in environmental science because they were so inspired by the class. And so I have connections to some young people who are now majoring in environmental science who I think would love to join this conversation.
Wow, fantastic. And
Great.
if we all look around in our own environments for young people who can tap into this and talk, that would be great. So Christina, you will get a mail from Stasha, who is coordinator of the WINGS events within Ecocivilisation. And we'll go from there. We'll give you all the support for putting the event on the map and to communicate and everything. And we will of course get in touch with some other schools once we get a bit of a framework of the event. Okay. So if you could think about just a couple of statements, how would you present this event and what is the focus group of the youth, and then the rest will get in action.
Okay.
That's how we work within Ecocivilisation. We just pick up an idea and then help somebody who created it to manifest it.
That's wonderful. Okay, awesome.
Thank you, Christina.
Okay.
Thank you all. Thank you all. We are connected, and I know that we will co-create a lot of things in the future together. See you.
Bravo, Sonja. Thank you. Thank you to all.
Great.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. See you next time. Bye.